What's up guys, Kemi from Distorted Views. Today I'm going to show you how to do a quick mix on guitars and it sounds like this. Alright, and here we are in the project. As you can see, I've got the DI here and I've just recorded it twice. So I've got the hard left and the hard right. These are on channels 10 and 11 and I've just panned the channel to the left and the other one to the right. And then I've unrouted them from the master and I've just put them on a bus channel because when I process them, I'm going to process them the left and right side together on the bus. So here's the DI on its own. You can normalize the DI here and line everything up. Just then with the DI, I'm not trying to make it perfect. You still want that human feel to it. I'm just, if I was a little bit early, I'll put that a little bit forward, a little bit late, pull that back a bit, and you just go through and you line the DI up. So let's go into the actual mixer now. So I'm using the orange amp with Amp Hub. But you can use any amp sim you want. As I always say, I like to use Axe-Fx, but lately I've been doing tutorials on other VSTs and stuff like that. It reaches more people and more audience for those who don't want to fork out the money for an Axe-Fx system. So this is the Dual 50. So what I've done is I put it on channel B. I've also put a drive pedal on at the start, or a boost pedal. Just put the drive down low, just again boosting the level up, boosting that DI signal into the amp to get more gain. And then I've got the gain on 8. I had it on 10, but it was a little bit overkill, so I pulled it back a bit. Attenuated the volume down a little bit, and then put the shape on 7. Just very simple, didn't do much at all. This amp pretty much sounds good as soon as you turn the gain knob up. It's a very simple and good amp to use. Then Cab Lab for the impulse response. This is replicating the cabinet, and I've just got my impulse response on there that I like. And that's it, and nothing on the bus yet, because that's what this video is about. So all I'm trying to do here is just clean up the sound. So I'm going to put on a Pro Q. Now you can use any EQ for this. If there's a linear mode, that's what you want. I'm going to go in here and go into linear, and I'm going to go into high. So for linear phase, because I'm EQing a hard left and a hard right stereo field on one bus, I want to do linear because I don't want to cause crazy phase issues with my guitars, which I've done in the past before I really learned about phase. And I'll also check the phase later, and I'll show you how to put guitars in phase and show you the before and after as well. So what I've learned lately is like doing less is more. So I'm just trying to clean these sounds up. I used to do way too many whistles and way too many EQing moves, and you just destroy your guitars. Like, you want a little bit of mud in there. You want a little bit of the, body. You want the body of the sound and stuff, and you're just trying to tame that harshness and pretty much multi-band compress and control the low end, so the low end isn't out of control and fighting with the bass and other elements, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this play. Cool. So my first thing I'm going to always do is a high cut and a low cut. So high cut, low cut, and I usually do a 48 decibel slope because it's steep, but it's not crazy steep. I usually start at 8,000 and 100. You can go higher depending on, again, the genre, the tone, the guitar takes, the tuning. There's a bunch of different things that matter. These settings, these aren't always there's no combined settings that will ever get you one sound. It's like, just play it by ear. So first thing I'm going to do is control the low end. Nice. Alright, so here I'm just going to grab around 180. I like to use dynamic EQs because the sound, when you just do a cut, it's going to always attenuate that sound constantly all the time. And sometimes you only want that sound to be ducked or attenuated when it gets out of control or when it passes a threshold. So I like to use the dynamic EQ, that way the song kind of move, because EQ is always moving, sounds are moving, frequencies are moving, they're not always going to be stale, if that makes sense. And you can see there, it's kind of like ducking a bit, you know, and then as soon as those palm mutes come in and that low end really chugs in, it ducks even more. I'm going to do the same thing on the high end. And that's pretty much it. Like right there, you've got the low end attenuated. It's the palm mutes are being controlled. That high end is just being rolled a little bit. It's being ducked. So now I'm going to throw a bus compressor on here, and I'm going to do parallel compression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the makeup down because I don't want to keep increasing gain. I like to try and keep the volumes with what I've set as I'm going along. That's a lot of, you're getting a lot of compression there. It's 12 dB compression, but it gives it that bite, like that parallel compression gives it that bite. And I've just attenuated the volume by turning it down 4 decibels in post as well, so it's not going out of control. Awesome. So from there, I'll probably throw on another multi-band compressor, because as you keep adding things on, and these come in mono and stereo, by the way, if you didn't know. So see how they can come in mono or stereo. Make sure you're grabbing the stereo version. It's the same thing. I'm going to go linear phase. I'm going to oversample by 2x. And same thing, just the lows and the highs. Guitars are like a mid-range instrument, so all of this scooping in the mids that a lot of people do, I find it ruins the tone a lot and it makes it sound really thin. It's okay to have a little bit of mud there. Just attenuate the stuff that's peaking out, and then across the whole mix, it's going to sound really full, and you're going to have a lot more body to the sound. So another thing I should say here as well is when I'm soloing, I'm looking for sounds that aren't musical. So when I was moving left and right there, I was hearing dun 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 dun. I'm like, okay, cool, that's musical. It's notes changing. I'm going to leave that. When I went up and it just turned to shh, and I was like, okay, that's not musical. I'm going to attenuate that. But you don't want to delete it. You don't want to completely get rid of it, because then it's going to sound really muffled. So that's just, again, just attenuating it. You can see when I turn it on and off, you can hear that it's kind of just not as and just being smashed into your face. So now what you could do as well is, if I was mixing this with a vocal and stuff, I would put like Soothe on, and then I would sidechain the vocal to the guitars and only do the mid-range. Like, so I'd switch Soothe to mid, and then I would sidechain the vocal into the mid signal of the guitars, and then that way I would it would help kind of make room for the vocal as well when everything's kind of like pumping in the mix. But that's a separate video that probably falls under vocal mixing, but that's something else you could do. So in regards to cleaning up the guitars, you can do so much more. This is morely just a simple tutorial just to do the basics of getting the guitar bus sounding good and how to go about it. So next I'm going to check the phase of the guitars. I'm going to make sure that the hard left and hard right are in phase with each other, which is really important. So I'm going to put this one down, and I'm leaving a gap because I'm specifically for a reason. So sweet as. So you can see that it's majority out of phase, right? So there's signal from the left and signal from the right that are canceling each other out, which we don't want in the mix because it's going to make it muddy and you're going to miss frequencies and it's going to sound like shit. So I'm going to grab Patcher, and what I'm going to do is some mid-side EQ. So I'm going to go on the presets, I'm going to go into mid-side EQ. Now what I want to do is I'm going to turn it on linear as well. So I'm going to turn it on linear and HQ. And in the side here, so you can see that it's being through a splitter. It's going to a side signal and a mid signal. So I'm just going to take out some of the lows that are fighting with the mids in the side. But you don't want to do this too much because then the guitars will sound really thin. But I'm just going to take a little bit out. I'm going to do a soft, gentle curve. I'm going to put that on high. Now I'm just going to play it. See, now they're way more in phase and it sounds a lot more cleaner. And don't worry about them starting to sound a little bit thin because we're going to have the bass guitar right down the middle holding a lot of that low end and the mid range as well. Cool, so I'm going to get rid of span now. So I'm going to put on a limiter and I'm going to use it as a clipper. And what I want to do is I want to just chop off the tops of the transients of the guitars that peak too loud in the mix. I'll do this with all my instruments, but I'm not trying to slam it through the hard clipper. I'm not trying to create distortion or saturation in that way, though that people normally use them. I'm just trying to any top of those transients that are just occasionally poking up, I just want to cut them off so I can save on headroom in a mix. This is more of a mixing technique for when you have the whole mix, but I'll just include it in there because it's something I do. So to do that, I'm going to turn the attack all the way up, the release all the way down. I'm going to turn true peak limiting off. I'm going to turn oversampling onto, normally I go 16, but because I'm recording, I'll leave it. And I want this on 0 and this on 0. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go 1:1 ratio, so I'm not affecting the output. And then turn look ahead to 0, and I'm going to put this on aggressive. So now I'm going to play it, and I'm just going to move the signal up, and you'll notice it won't get louder. See, 1.5 dBs is the loudest, is that it's clipping, but most of the time it's not even being active because I'm still allowing the sound to be dynamic. I still want the guitars to be dynamic and bouncy. I just want them, every time that transient gets a little too out of hand, I just want it to be chopped off. I'm trying to bring that down to the smallest decibel reduction I can. So, and then I could do one final EQ, and I'll just use a normal EQ, their FL Studio EQ. You can also run an EQ before your amp, and you can run, you can boost, the DI, you can cut a bit of mud, you can boost up here. Obviously you wouldn't do that much, but you can boost the volume as well. Things like this to clean up a DI. But I always say one of the things I've learned recently is that keeping the sounds right at the source and clean at the source and getting it right at the source before you do the processing is a lot more important than trying to clean up stuff afterwards. So if you're in the bus and you're like, your EQ's here and you're doing this and you're up here and you're doing all of these like little whistles and you're really trying to clean up so much stuff, then your tone's not good enough to work with in the beginning, you know. That's pretty much it, guys. Pretty quick video. I wanted to keep it as simple as I can and not go too crazy with it. I'm gonna start trying to make more videos and do more tutorials and stuff like that. So please comment on videos if you have any questions, if you want to know why I'm doing something, if you want to know more in-depth stuff, if there's anything else you want to know, comment, subscribe, like, all that stuff, because I'm trying to grow this channel more, and everything I learned from doing all the research I do, I want to give back. Start a community, ask your questions, I will reply to your questions, I will answer them, and yeah, we will all learn how to make sick music together and bounce ideas off each other and stuff like that. It'll be awesome. So yeah, if there's anything else you guys want, chuck it in the comment section and we'll see you soon.